Rise of Nations is a grand strategy game focused on world domination. Take control of a country and extend your possibilities and maybe even your privacies. I am here to teach you the arts of the game.
I know, right? Nature. Shocking. You know, I touch grass every day.
It's 2018 and a player with the name Hyperant decides to create a game. Actually lots of them, 11 in total. I don't know what he was smoking with this Ascension crap, but one of these 11 games was Earth Simulator, predecessor to Rise of Nations. It's basically just Google Earth, but instead of the zoom, you have the ability to fire nukes from anywhere on the map. But the thing was, the nukes didn't actually do anything. So they were just some cool animations, and it was probably the reason I wasn't able to find any footage of the time, mainly because no one actually played the game, and that may also be why Hyperant decided to rework the entire idea. Which in my opinion is honestly a mistake. Like, nukes are so cool, you can just shoot them out in the world and just explode everything! It's sick! Fast forward to 2019, the game name changes to Country Simulator, and then finally, Rise of Nations. Development steadily began on January 8th and all the borders of the world were finished on the 24th. The game was barely playable until the end of 2019, but then it happened. The updates. New resources, trading, factories, major revamped technologies, 2 new map modes, 47 new formables. And that's just 2019. In 2020 we got ourselves a complete overhaul to the map, taxes, and of course, politics.
What the fuck?
The game still had a big glaring issue. Patience. You see, this game takes a long time that people don't have, but that problem would be quickly solved. You see, a big pandemic was happening all over the world, and people had to waste time inside their mom's basement. Oh, what's this? A game where you can spend hours upon hours conquering the world? Perfect. The player base was increasing, and so did the divorces and breakups. And then time went into an endless loop of time repeating itself and people killing each other. The end. I'm starting to think that this history book is a bit weird. So what is Rise of Nations? Blah 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 blah. That's not really important. You should already know all this stuff. I mean, that's kinda the reason you clicked on this video. But I will go through everything very quickly just in case. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready to take notes.
I've always wanted this. I can finally use my paper. Like, look at this.
Rise of Nations is a grand strategy game focused on world domination. You can pick any of these countries. Oh hey look, it's Now what would a country be without an economy? You have income, cost, and a balance between the two which you earn every 5 days. Oh no, my treasures! They're getting stolen! What should I do? You could build an army and take other people's treasures.
You're a genius!
There are 4 types of units: ground, support, naval, and air. But only ground troops can occupy cities. And you can take other people's factories. That's sick! I'm not gonna bother explaining everything, but yeah, here's what beats what, tanks beating infantry, the usual. The maintenance cost counts into your country's expenses. And while infantry is pretty cheap, everything else is very expensive. I mean, just look at these prices. Tanks cost 160,000 just for the maintenance. And if you get too many, you will get into debt, and if you get into debt, you will get a low stability, and if you get low stability, your country will basically collapse, and I think you get this point by now. So that's why I'm here to suggest a solution. Factories! Factories are the blessings of God. They give you all sorts of stuff. You can get cars and even cow shit. And the most important factories everyone often forgets are civilian factories. They give a 25% stability boost if you get a surplus of consumer goods, but you need 25 million to be able to build a factory and natural resources to start producing. This applies to all. And now let's move over to stability. The one thing we all wish we had in life. The lower the stab, the more destroyed your country will be. When you get the low stability warning, that's when all releasables that you own can start declaring independence. You either get a buff or debuff in percent and positive or negative events depending if you have more or less than 50% stability. For example, if you have 68% stability, you will get an 80% boost in everything and maybe monopoly, but it's the complete opposite if you have 32% stab. But at that point, your country is pretty much done, so let's just go on to the next topic, which is research. Research is very fucking crucial in deciding your strategy because some of these bonuses are just broken. Bonus on the factory output as an example. And the factory output is also the meta, so max it out with your starting research points and then you can choose whatever you want. And if there's things I missed, trust me, there's a lot of it. You can either go to the wiki or Discord server and search for help. Pretty cool. Now that was my short introduction and explanation of the game.
I'm not even halfway through.
Time for the juicy part. How do you become good at the game? Or even better, strategies. First of all, Conquest. Best strategy for attacking AI countries? Tanks. Lots of them. You have a limited pool of manpower, but these things are very cost effective, so just slap a bit of nationalism in there and you can conquer all of Africa before 2025. And that is only about 1 hour of gameplay. Stay committed, kids. If you don't know this already, the easiest way to destroy the AI's army is by using AI luring. Basically, just take your entire tank or infantry division you want to invade with and move it to occupy one city. The AI will then move all the troops in an 800 kilometers range, or in simpler terms, not enough to reach Moscow. They will move those troops to retake the city, but you will win since you have entrenched yourself, because let's be real here. The biggest strength you can have in this game is defense, speed and population. And entrenchment is just so broken, like Jesus Christ, look at these bonuses, and cities give you 1.15 times. And while we're on the topic of speed and population, what's the most optimal path for Conquest you should take? Here you have a very detailed map, I've carefully constructed. First of all, kill Isle of Man and get that 75 million treasury, then get 1 steel and 1 motor and 1 electronic factory, then go for Island. Before 2020, I recommend that you have conquered valuable Golden Coast countries and some Middle East ones for those sweet military bases. If Nigeria or Egypt is AI, aim for those fast. If both are players, then you should first see if they're good and attack depending on the situation. Try conquering land beside them, like Cameroon and Sudan, and continue conquering downwards of Africa. By around 2020, you should be able to take them both on, so get like 8,000 specialized tanks and steamroll them, coupled with a navy and air force. South Africa should be the same. You can station in Namibia and underneath them, because most of the time they won't have a navy. Now you also want to focus on the other continents. Get around 2,000 to 4,000 tanks into Asia by following the Suez, split them into 2 and get half of them into Burma and half into Malaysia. Conquer them and get half of them to Bangladesh and half to Papua New Guinea. Also, if you have a lot of free justifications over, get an expedition into Canada if they're still left, and take over the Panama Canal if you wanna be a dick. And after we conquered Africa, the rest of the game should be easy, unless India is allied with China and USA. In this case, I feel sorry for you. Now we've gone over how to deal with the AIs, but what about the players?
Show me what you've got.
Yeah, this game isn't really fun mid to late game when fighting other players for one simple reason. Ships. These things are so broken it's not even funny. Like, just have 1 aircraft carrier and you can obliterate the entire European continent. I can hear some of you say, actually, the aircraft carrier cost 5.4 million to upkeep. And to that I say, you're fucking wrong. Fascism, naval doctrine and research being able to reduce the cost by 60% with fascism alone. Do you see the problem? You basically have a ship that can reach half a continent and deals as much damage as a battleship for only 5.4 million excluding everything, and considering at this point you have like 30 million income minimum if you're good. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, so mid to late game strategy is literally just spam all ships possible except frigates because they suck, and then just outproduce your enemy and you win. That's it. But early game is where the real shit happens. Here artillery and air units are actually useful, and ships are mostly limited to destroyers and submarines. And the strategy here is to have submarines spread out across the ocean, so you can bait their units crossing the deep water and then just obliterate them. Let me just write that down real quick. Huh. I know deception is a big part of war, but here there isn't much to explain. Just stack your troops if you're strong to appear weak, and spread them out to appear strong when you're weak. But something that I can talk about is combat. The most prominent strategy I myself have named is called Specially Educated Mobile Eclipse NASCAR, or SEMN for short. But if you want a better name, it's the Naval Assisted Blitzkrieg, which basically consists of all troops except infantry, and that's why you want mass attack to get that 2 times manpower. Basically, you have a very large force of tanks specialized for the terrain and stationed close to the country you want to attack, and another big tank force close to their capital before you attack your enemy. Start your justification towards them and move all your naval units, if possible, towards their mainland. Then you just wait, and like 20 days before the justification is finished, form a line on the borders with one of your tank forces. Then when the justification is done, declare and just auto capture, and move the other tank force with the stack towards their capital and move your attackers towards their unit stacks. This should result in them dying in a few months depending on the size of the country, but this basically only applies to early and a bit of mid game, since after that infantry will just destroy everything with their research bonuses. But what about the economy? How could you possibly maintain such a large army? Here is a plan I've carefully constructed, consisting of every single detail, and as you can see, it's empty. Wanna know why? So do I. Yeah, I guess I should start with ideologies. They're just such game changers. Fascism is just too broken. It has minus 60% military cost and so many stupid buffs. And all the others have just stupid debuffs, like communism having minus 25% tax income.
No wonder we're so poor. It's that damn communism.
The economic strategy is fairly simple. Just spend all your starting research points on factory output and build 4 electronic factories. And if you're close to microstates, justify and attack them quickly if you have enough troops, around 40,000 to 60,000 on land. Since they only take around 25 days to justify, go and seal that delicious 75 million treasury to build 1 steel, 1 motor, and another electronic factory. Now just sell the 92 electronics you got. I've compiled a list here for how much each AI country will buy for, and just build more until there's not an AI country left to sell to. Now that we've gone over that, let me go over some quick tips and tricks for small countries, since I don't like the big bad boys that bully everyone.